Nova Iguaçu is a municipality in Rio de Janeiro state in Brazil. Location: the city is named after the Iguaçu River that runs through it and empties into Guanabara Bay. It is part of the Greater Rio de Janeiro metropolitan area. It was the state's second largest city in population until Mesquita was split off, and now it is the fourth largest behind São Gonçalo, Duque de Caxias and the state capital, Rio de Janeiro. It lies northwest of Rio de Janeiro, in the center of the northern part of its metropolitan area, Baixada Fluminense. The current mayor is Nelson Bornia. The city is the seat of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Nova Iguaçu. Nova Iguaçu has an estimated population of around 800,000 people. Although not best defined as a commuter town, it is a suburb of Rio de Janeiro under the influence of the capital, to which tens of thousands of workers and students commute daily, or visit regularly for options in culture, entertainment, goods, healthcare, etc. It is a city of average, lower middle income. There are a few historical and eco-touristical attractions in the municipality. The municipality contains part of the 26,260 hectares Tingua Biological Reserve, a strictly protected Atlantic Forest Conservation Unit created in 1989. Rail accidents. On June 7, 1951, the city was the site of a level crossing disaster in which 54 people were killed when a train struck a gasoline truck. On 30 August 2007, two trains collided in the city, killing at least 8 people. Sports. Nova Iguaçu Futebol Clube is an important football club from the city. Demographics. The population of the city suffered a reduction after the enfranchisement of Mesquita in 1993. Today, the population is 795,212, up from the 727,300 in 1970, but down from the 844,583 in 2006. The racial makeup of the city was 48.2% white, 39.5% Pardo and 10.1% black. Asians were 0.02% of the population. When it comes to socio-economic stratification, Class A population were 10.5%, Class B 55%, Class C 33.1% and Class D 2.4% of the population in 2011. These were according to income and property cohorts that take into account a Brazil-wide classification, rather than one specific to the metropolitan region of Rio de Janeiro. History. Colonial Brazil. Before the Portuguese arrived in Rio de Janeiro, the Jacutinga Indians already inhabited the western bank of the Iguaçu River. This indigenous tribe helped the French when they arrived in the region. Around 1565, after the expulsion of the French from Guanabara Bay, the village of São Sebastião de Rio de Janeiro was founded. There was at the time intense piracy promoted by French, British and Dutch privateers on the coast of the new Portuguese colony. In 1575, the then governor of the captaincy of Rio de Janeiro, Antonio Salomar, joined a Portuguese army supported by a troop of Amerindians indoctrinated with the purpose of exterminating the French and Tamoro area that had lasted for 20 years on the eastern coast of the captaincy. Fearful of losing the lands, the Tamios still allied with the French, but were virtually wiped out because of the uprising, called the War of Cabo Frio. The victorious troops wiped out about 500 natives, enslaving other 1,500. There were sentenced to be hanged 2 French, 1 English and 1 Tupinamba shaman. Nevertheless, the troops entered the interior, burning villages and killing thousands of Tamios. The War of Cabo Frio resulted, apart from the massacre, in the complete expulsion of the French in the region. However, other European pirates, mainly British and Dutch, continued to steal Brazil wood, showing the war mostly useless. Since the absence of colonization on the coast of Rio de Janeiro continued to provide profit to European privateers, there was no interest in colonizing the region of Cabo Frio after this massacre, but the settlers decided to populate the Recôncavo Fluminense. They began to settle on the banks of major rivers in the region, especially the rivers Iguaçu, Meriti, Saratoga, Saracuruna, Jaguar, Pilar, Marapicu, Jacutinga, Mantiqueira and Inhomirim. Also in 1575, the Captain-General Belchires Herrero built a chapel in honor of Saint Anthony, at the foot of a hill 750 meters from the greater curve of the Santo Antonio River, now River Saratoga, on the land of Jacutinga. The building, erected with mud, was crucial for Belchires Herrero conquer the lands of the Jacutinga Indians in the form of land grants by Governor Christopher de Barros, baptizing them as Engenho Santo Antonio da Aldeia dos Jacutingas. The Captain-General has granted himself an allotment near the Rio Maguey, where he built a mill. In subsequent decades, the small chapel was raised in level of importance, ascending to other major designations in the church hierarchy of the region. Since the occupation of the Iguaçu, Saratoga and Meriti River basin came into effect, which occurred from the late 16th century, the traditional Indian trade routes became roads. 1. The long trail of the Jacutingas was transformed into the Estrada Geral, which connected the Freguesia de Nossa Senhora da Conceição Marapicu to the Freguesia de Santo Antonio da Aldeia dos Jacutingas. The roadbed is currently occupied by the RJ 105 highway. The old bridge over the Saratoga River was the point of junction of the Estrada Geral with the Estrada Real. The Royal Road went toward the Church of Nossa Senhora da Candelaria in downtown Rio de Janeiro, before passing over the Freguesia de São João do Arago de Rio Meriti, by the port of Pavuna, by Inhama and the Freguesia de Nossa Senhora da Apresentação do Araja. These paths formed for a long time the best option to enter the land of the Recôncavo Fluminense, as access was difficult due to the large amount of wetlands and rivers of considerable width. To establish the route of the Estrada Real were considered the best spots for transposition of the Saratoga and Meriti, noting where these rivers formed bars. The colonization of the area required to route the flow of production of the mills. Initially, this was possible thanks to the waterways when the rivers served as highways. Once the Indian trade routes were rough and the rivers were the easiest way to enter the Recôncavo region for its colonization. Contraction Nova Iguaçu was a much larger city in the past than its present form. The history of the city is marked by the emancipation of several districts that sought administrative independence. The first break occurred on December 31, 1943, when the city council ratified the emancipation of Duque de Caxias. In 1947, Neapolis took the turn at emancipation. However, the most significant emancipations occurred in the 1990s. Prior to the industrialization of Nova Iguaçu in the 1990s, it was a bedroom community for Rio de Janeiro. The city itself had practically no urban infrastructure, as its prior focus had been on citrus farming. By 1989, the city had grown to a population of 1.7 million, making it the sixth most populous city in Brazil at the time. In 1990, the district of Belford Roxo was emancipated, followed by Queimados, which had encompassed most of Nova Iguaçu's industrial district. In 1991, Japeri was emancipated, and in 1990, Mesquita. These emancipations represented an economic blow to Nova Iguaçu, whose population was greatly reduced, without a concomitant reduction in public spending.